Good afternoon. My name is Jim Gary, and I'm the president of the USF Tampa Faculty Senate. And I'm here to introduce Provost Ralph Wilcox, who is about to present his 10th annual address to the USF community. But before we start, let's take a moment of silence in memory of members of the USF community who've passed away in the last year. Okay, well, thank you. The main thing to know about the provost is that he not only practices higher education administration, but he studies it intently. He has incredibly accurate insight into the trends of higher education, and he's kept USF laser focused on what we have to do to meet President Genschaft's goals. Provost Wilcox has a way of taking all of us a little bit out of our comfort zone with new and innovative strategies that are really paying off in a big way. So you may have heard of disruptive trends in industry. That brings to mind Jeff Bezos with Amazon changing how we think about retail, or Elon Musk, who's radically changed the rocket launch industry with SpaceX. But really, USF and Provost Wilcox are part of a similar trend in higher education. What he will tell you is that we can't simply do things the way we used to, because in the world of higher education, it's changing at an astounding rate. So Provost Wilcox and his team have played a major role in moving USF forward. We're on the verge of Florida state preeminent status. We're moving toward the top of many university ranking lists. Student success is front and center, and we are poised for AAU membership. So with that, here is Provost Ralph Wilcox.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Dr. Gary, well, that's Trustee Gary. Thank you for your kind introduction and for your energized and valued leadership as president of the USF Faculty Senate. Faculty governance has been a key ingredient in USF's emergence as a global research university, and I will be the first to point out that it's been the Senate's vision and thoughtful deliberation, as well as leadership's constructive partnership with our faculty, that has proven so vital in advancing USF's academic mission. To my faculty colleagues, I urge you, each and every one of you, to give careful consideration to actively engaging with your Faculty Senate. Before I get started this afternoon with my remarks, I want to take a moment to introduce members of the USF leadership team who are in attendance this afternoon. I ask, and we'll see if we can get it right this year. It's a tough group at times. I ask that each of you please stand, remain standing, and that the audience holds its applause until the end. Let's see how we do. Charles Adams, Dean of the Honors College. Bob Bishop, Dean of the College of Engineering. Roger Brindley, Dean of the College, Interim Dean of the College of Education. If you'd seen the expression on his face when I said, he loves all the faculty and students in the College of Education. And Vice President, USF System Vice President for USF World. Eric Eisenberg, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Moez Lamayam, Dean of the Muma College of Business. James Moy, Dean of the College of the Arts. Govind Pariel, Dean of the Patel College of Global Sustainability. Victoria Rich, Dean of the College of Nursing. Kevin Sneed, Dean of the College of Pharmacy. Todd Chavez, Dean of the USF Libraries. Bill Cummings, Interim Dean of Undergraduate Studies. Dwayne Smith, Senior Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs and Dean, Office of Graduate Studies. Kofi Glover, Vice Provost for Human Resources and Space Planning. Terry Chisholm, Vice Provost for Planning, Performance, and Accountability. Pritish Mukherjee, Vice Provost and Associate Vice President for Strategic Talent Recruitment, University Reputation and Impact. Cindy DeLuca, Associate Vice President for Innovative Education. Peter Styling, Assistant Vice Provost for Strategic Initiatives. Mark Harlan, Director of Athletics. Joe Heiss, Chief Marketing Officer. Welcome, Joe. I almost gave you a promotion, but next year. Gerard Solis, General Counsel. Mark Walsh, USF System Assistant Vice President for Government Relations. Paul Dosal, Vice President for Student Affairs and Student Success. Sydney Fernandez, Vice President for Information Technology. Nick Travinovich, Vice President for Business and Finance and Chief Financial Officer. Calvin Williams, Vice President for Administrative Services. Ed Funai, Senior Vice President for USF System Initiatives and Chief Operating Officer, USF Health. John Long, Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. And, I believe, last but not least, our trustee and student body president, Monia Keradine. Collectively, this team represents an amazingly talented group of professional colleagues from whom I learn day in, day out. Thank you for all that you do. Of course, we all owe a great debt of gratitude to our university president, with whom I've had the privilege of working now for longer than any other in my career. And you know, there's a very, very good reason for that. USF is indeed fortunate to have a visionary and tireless advocate who, most importantly, embraces the core values of the Academy, grounded in excellence, and one who thoroughly understands the essential role that the faculty must play in building a great research university. As she begins her 18th year at the University of South Florida, please join me in thanking Dr. President. Of course, I hope you'll all join us for the USF System President's Annual Fall Address at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, September 6th, right here. In preparing for this afternoon's remarks, which, as you heard earlier, represents my 10th consecutive address to the Fall Faculty Assembly, I look back on what sage words I had to offer in August of 2008. Some of you may recall those were rather different times as the great economic recession was taking a stranglehold on the nation and on higher education. At that time, we could not have imagined the impact that extensive budget cuts, along with the uncertainty and, Jim, the disruption that universities would face on the horizon. Years later, it is clear that through careful planning and innovation, the University of South Florida weathered the economic downturn better than most universities in Florida and certainly across the nation. Today, we can be exceedingly grateful for our legislature's renewed investment in our university as we have earned a significant infusion of new funding through performance-based funding, emerging preeminence, world-class scholars, together with professional and graduate enhancement programs. And meanwhile, our students stand to benefit from unprecedented levels of state financial aid. And the purpose of this assembly hasn't changed over the years. For as I suggested back in 2008, it's a time, and I quote, for us to come together at the beginning of a new academic year to review our accomplishments, to anticipate the challenges that lay ahead, and to sharpen our collective focus on shared priorities for the coming year. First, though, 2016-17 represented another remarkable chapter in USF Tampa's extraordinary progress toward national and global prominence. In the coming weeks, we expect to report the highest 6-year and 4-year graduation rates and the highest freshman retention rate in the history of USF. Our Student Success Initiative has become a model for the nation, as USF has become recognized over the past year as a recipient of EduVenture's Innovation Award, highlighted by the Education Trust as number 6 in the nation and number 1 in the state of Florida for Black student success, and selected by the National Center for Higher Education Management Systems, NCHEMS, as a mentor university for its Foundation for Student Success initiative. And just this week, the Chronicle of Higher Education ranked USF first in the nation among colleges with the greatest improvement in 6-year graduation rates between the years 2011 and 2015. As you know, I'm particularly proud that we have effectively eliminated the 6-year completion gap for African Americans, Hispanics, and white students at USF, along with Pell Grant recipients and those from higher socioeconomic backgrounds. Please allow me to take just a moment to introduce you to some of our most recent graduates.
I'm Stephanie Radu, and I'm going to become a pediatric and fetal surgeon scientist and a global health advocate.
I am Nia Jackson, and I will contribute to the realms of international relations by facilitating cultural exchange and fostering innovation.
I'm Caitlin Deutsch, and I'm going to protect biodiversity and ecosystems from human impact.
My name is Juan Basso, and I'm here trying to create new jobs and save Florida's citrus industry.
My name is Fiona Kearns, and I will be an example for young women in chemistry by investigating the atomistic interactions that drive the natural world.
I'm Michael Esteban, and I will engineer solutions for our future urban water issues.
I'm Jennifer Simback, and I'm going to create the environments that help make the world a healthier place.
I'm Christy Campla, and I'm going to develop research that can help lead to a cure for blindness.
I'm Michael Calzadilla, and I will discover new insights into our galactic origins. And I'm proud to be a bull.
I'm Stephanie Radu, and I'm a bull.
I'm Michael Esteban, and I am a bull.
I'm Fiona Kearns, and I am a bull.
I'm Nia Jackson, and I'm a bull.
The USF students highlighted in the video include winners of highly competitive national Fulbright, Goldwater, Gates Cambridge, NIH, Oxford Cambridge, and Wrangell scholarships, as well as Frost scholarships, which cover all costs associated with completing a postgraduate degree at Oxford University. In all, USF students won 66 nationally competitive awards last academic year, including 10 Student Fulbright Awards, the most ever at the University of South Florida, and more than any other Florida university. Apparently, our students took note of the pride with which we celebrated the Chronicle of Higher Education's announcement in February that USF was the nation's top producer of faculty Fulbright scholars. I thank you all for the passion and the dedication you show daily in supporting our students' accomplishments. And I ask that you continue to guide your most talented and curious mentees to the USF Office of National Scholarships. We are, of course, equally proud of the faculty winners of national honors and awards, as we reeled in more national honors, including AAAS Fellows, NSF Career Award winners, American Council of Learned Society Research Fellows, and Sloan Research Fellows. USF's stature as a top-tier global research university continues to grow. Number 2 in the state for total and federal research expenditures, our faculty proudly lead the state university system of Florida for research spending per full-time tenured and tenure-earning faculty member, as well as leading the state in citation impact. Also, with a high value placed on technology transfer and commercialization of discovery, USF is a national leader in patents awarded, licenses and options executed, and new startup companies. A recent study by the Milken Institute ranked USF 19th in university commercialization worldwide and 10th among American public universities. As you can see, it is through the care, pride, and dedication of our professional staff, the hard work and achievements of our world-class faculty, and the remarkable accomplishments of our students, which is perhaps the best measure of any great university, that USF is ranked in the top 50 US public universities by the top American research universities, by Washington Monthly, by the Times Higher Education World University Rankings in the United Kingdom, and the academic ranking of world universities out of China. This year, USF proudly found itself ranked 34th in the world and 8th in the United States for public and private universities in the Times Higher Education's new listing of Golden Age universities, founded between 1945 and 1966. I should also point out that industrial and organizational psychology at number 2 public health at number 8, audiology at number 13, and rehabilitation counseling, number 22, all find themselves ranked in the top 25 in their field at public universities by the US News & World Report Best Graduate Schools. Moreover, we are pleased to be ranked first in the nation by Military Times for the most veteran-friendly university. Number 3 by the Peace Corps for graduate program alumni volunteering worldwide, and number 18 among large schools for the Peace Corps, top volunteer-producing colleges and universities. In the coming year, we'll be placing a renewed focus on telling our story as we develop and launch an exciting marketing campaign to enhance USF's brand identity and reputation. With that in mind, I invite you to pick up a copy of the USF Tampa by the Numbers document that I hope you will use to share the USF story with your colleagues across the nation and around the world. And we'll make those available to you at the end of this event. As we look out across the national higher education landscape today and witness the apparent erosion of support for public higher education in Illinois, North Carolina, and Wisconsin, for example, states that have historically been viewed as leaders, and others, including the states of Louisiana, New Mexico, and so on, each struggling to maintain their commitment to students and support for faculty and staff, we must ask ourselves, why is it that colleges and universities appear to be under assault in some states today? Moreover, and as you heard Jim suggest, I'm something of a tireless reader of higher education policy documents. If you read around higher education over the past year, you can't help but think that public trust in higher education has fallen to an all-time low. While our experience at the University of South Florida as a member of the state university system of Florida has arguably been altogether different, we would do well to identify and understand the challenges facing higher education across the nation. The results of a Pew Research Center study released just last month showed that 55% of respondents registered positive views of higher education. That's the good news. The poll further noted that while 72% of Democrats and Democratic leading independents felt that higher education had a positive impact on the nation, 58% of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents felt colleges and universities had a negative effect. In fact, only 36% of Republicans said higher education had a positive impact. This unfortunate partisan divide, which appears to mirror that of the nation, is in part explained by a belief that the return on investment in higher education has greatly diminished. After all, how often do we hear about college graduates returning home to live with their parents? The cultural and political gap regarding confidence in higher education is perhaps further fueled through missteps by some universities in response to controversy around such matters as race, gender, and speech on campus, controversies which, we might agree, have not always been well handled elsewhere. And then there is higher education's fundamental core commitment to the search for truth, where logic, reasoned discourse, rigorous scientific research, and empirical verification continue to be valued against a seeming backdrop of popular sound bites amplified by social media that appear to prompt a growing reliance on feelings over facts. The value of higher education is further challenged today by the skip the college narrative proffered by a handful of successful entrepreneurs, ignoring the compelling data-based evidence that college graduates are indeed happier, healthier, wealthier, are more frequently employed, and benefit from a retirement plan, enjoy job safety and occupational prestige, higher life expectancy, lower crime and incarceration rates, and exhibit higher participation rates in volunteering, philanthropy, voting, together with political, community, civic, and religious activities. Other challenges facing universities across the nation today, and which may, and I underscore, may have a direct or indirect impact on USF, include, but are not limited to, declining state support and increasing privatization of higher education, affordability and skyrocketing student debt, sliding enrollments, particularly in the northern Rust Belt states, institutional productivity, especially as it pertains to degree completion, the relevance of our existing curriculum, the tension between an education grounded in the liberal arts and a growing urgency to promote technical training for career, job placement, and economic development, and the divide between the expectations of higher education by business and political leaders, sometimes prompting unprecedented interest and even intrusion into university life. Added to that, an assault on faculty governance and tenure in some states, and campus concerns surrounding homelessness, food security, and hunger, undocumented and DACA students, international student mobility, Title IX, sexual assault and campus climate issues, and campus safety and campus carry, then surely university leaders can be forgiven for the occasional misstep. The takeaway here, and I hope each and every one of you here in the state of Florida will recognize the support that has been directed to the University of South Florida, that you reach out to your elected officials and express your appreciation for their continued investment in our great university, and most particularly, that you do all you can to demonstrate maximal return on that investment. Think about your colleagues in Illinois, in Wisconsin, in North Carolina, New Mexico, and Louisiana, and be grateful for the level of continuing investment that we receive from our legislature and our governor. Even as the challenges facing higher education today may appear all-consuming, we must also assess whether or not to adopt emerging trends in our sector, such as competency-based education and adaptive learning to personalize education through self-paced and self-directed curricula. The incorporation of artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality into the classroom, the introduction of non-traditional credentials, including badging. I share these observations to underscore the importance in this dynamic and competitive market space of being both agile and proactive in our leadership and our engagement. While here at USF we have not blindly embraced the next best thing, we are fortunate to find ourselves on the leading edge in so very many ways, serving as a national model for planning and performance accountability, utilizing Canvas and the Civitas community, learning community, to assist or utilize and exploit big data predictive analytics to measure and improve student performance, adopting open educational resources and other strategies to reduce textbook costs, developing a case management platform to pinpoint student needs to be addressed by a cross-campus care team, launching 3-year accelerated degree programs and expanding 2+2 FUSE grad paths to increase our students' access and success, expanding high-quality online degree programs, engaging multiple constituents in action-based dialogue around mobilizing the dream, supporting a USF food pantry and a Don't Stop, Don't Drop emergency fund for needy students, leveraging the broader Tampa Bay community as a living laboratory in support of experiential learning, and designing, investing in, and launching an innovative program to improve support for student mental health needs on campus. Importantly, our innovative ideas, hard work, and progress continue to be recognized and rewarded by our elected officials through earned investments. Some of that state investment is most clearly evident in our built environment. A decade ago, we were celebrating the opening of this remarkable building, along with the Frank and Carol Morsani Center for Advanced Healthcare on campus. And we were looking forward to completion of the School of Music, the Patel College for Global Solutions, the Interdisciplinary Science Building, and the Juniper Poplar Student Residence. Those were fun times. These are fun times. Earlier this year, we christened the long-awaited research vessel WT Hogarth, which, as it enters service with the Florida Institute of Oceanography, will provide a state-of-the-art seagoing research platform for faculty and students at USF and across the state university system. This week, we opened phase 1 of the Village, a transformative living and learning community. And as we look to the future, the new home for the Morsani College of Medicine will begin to rise in the Water Street district downtown. And finally, because some of you have asked me about the recently published renderings for a football stadium on campus, I want to share with you that these are very early days, and that this was the product of a feasibility study requested by the USF Board of Trustees. Many more steps need to be taken before this long-discussed project becomes a reality, not least of which is a financial plan, because, as you'll appreciate, such facilities cannot be supported by educational operating funds or by student tuition. Of course, a world-class campus experience and student success remain at the very heart of our university. Building a high-performance team across the Student Affairs and Student Success organization has been the highest priority for Vice President Paul Dosal this past year. And earlier this summer, college deans and university leadership dedicated a full day to reimagining student talent acquisition at all levels, with a goal of enrolling even more high-ability undergraduate and graduate students from Florida, across the nation, and from around the world. You should expect to see the launch of a fresh strategy in coming weeks, with a focus on expanding the pool of diverse, qualified applicants, converting, yielding, and ultimately enrolling more talented, curious, and engaged learners in 2018. A collaborative effort between admissions, communications and marketing, decision support, financial aid, information technology, and innovative education. Not to overlook the colleges, of course. A new digital communication campaign will be driven via social media platforms and will include an exciting new virtual tour of campus. While, as we've seen, few if any universities in the nation can match USF's gains in student success over the past decade, there remains much work to be done. How many times have you heard that from me? We're incredibly proud, but we are not satisfied. Affordable access continues to be a high priority for USF, recognizing full well that approximately 40% of our undergraduate students qualify for need-based Pell Grants. In the academic year 2014-15, USF dispersed $166 million in Pell Grants. $166 million in Pell Grants, placing us among the top 10 public universities in the nation. While we know that a full-time Florida resident undergraduate student pays at least a sticker price of approximately $4,500 in tuition each year and $6,400 including fees, which certainly is among the lowest in the nation, the costs associated with transportation, housing, textbooks, and instructional materials drive that annual cost of college above $21,000. We expect the state of Florida's generous increases in both merit and need-based financial aid, together with the federal government's decision to make Pell Grants available year-round in 2018, to ease the financial burden on our students and their families. Yet, our students' greatest savings can perhaps best be yielded through our textbook affordability and Finish in 4, Save More initiatives. Our efforts to drive down the cost of textbooks while not compromising the quality of instruction or effectiveness of student learning will require each and every one of our instructors to carefully consider whether one or more of the following strategies before you can be adopted. I want to congratulate Dean Bishop for steering the College of Engineering toward a negotiated e-textbook pilot in the fall of 2017 that promises to save nearly 1,000 students more than $200 per course. It's my hope that other colleges will step up and negotiate similar savings for their students. If you have further ideas or questions, please reach out to Dean Chavez, the USF Library. Equally important, reducing the cost of textbooks at USF will help us improve our standing on the new performance metric number 3. As both access and affordability improve at USF, so do programs intended to enhance our student retention, persistence, and completion rates. Even as we continue to eclipse our prior performance year after year, the task becomes even more challenging and demands more sophisticated strategies and tactics. Foremost of the new initiatives this year is the case management platform developed in close collaboration with IT, allowing members of a multidimensional care team comprised of academic advisors, student success advocates, mental health counselors, financial aid advisors, and other professionals to zero in on those students in greatest need of support. This tool has become a foundation, the foundation, for a new Finish in 4 campaign that promises to provide students with confident 8-semester pathways to graduation. Presently, this platform is being piloted with the 2014 FTIC cohort, and soon we expect to extend that to other freshman cohorts and transfer students. It is important for me to point out that these efforts would not have been possible without the combined effort of a dedicated and talented high-performance team led by Cindy DeLuca and our CIO, Sydney Fernandez. Thank you. It's a team that was laser-focused on finding a creative solution to a high-priority yet complex problem, demanding cross-organizational communication, mutual trust and respect, confidence, and an acceptance of shared responsibility. Described by the Chronicle of Higher Education as an epidemic of anguish, and our own Florida Board of Governors as a crisis, the skyrocketing demand for enhanced student mental health care at USF reflects a national trend. Not surprisingly, we consider mental and physical well-being as essential elements of our student success initiative. Whether manifested through an increased incidence of anxiety, depression, sleep difficulties, or stress, through the leadership of our health and wellness team, we have designed a more comprehensive, tiered program for the coming year. Called MWell for Success, it seeks to enhance broad-based mental health literacy for students, faculty, and staff. It develops student resiliency and coping skills through hiring mental health coaches and social media communication professionals. It'll improve early diagnosis through increasing the number of mental health counselors and adding satellite centers with extended hours across campus to assist with early identification and intervention. And it will provide more integrated and intensive tertiary level care. While the important work of our student care team is essential to improving student persistence, progression, and completion, ensuring that USF graduates possess the knowledge base and competencies to prepare them for graduate school and for success in the 20th century global workplace, that has to be a strong focus. This time last year, you may remember, I challenged the Faculty Senate, very gently, Jim, of course, and especially the General Education Council, to critically evaluate USF's core undergraduate curriculum, framed around the principles of student-centeredness, intellectual rigor, relevance, and curricular coherence. Led by Dr. Keena Betancourt and supported by Interim Dean of Undergraduate Studies, Dr. Bill Cummings, and Dr. Michael Decker, Chair of History, the work was guided by broad-based stakeholder input from across the University of South Florida community and was informed by the American Association of Colleges and Universities Value Learning Outcomes. The Council's recommendations, I believe, will lead to extensive curricular redesign and enhancements in the coming year. Their proposal blends the state-mandated requirements at its foundation with core elements in creative thinking, information literacy, along with human and cultural diversity, each grounded in the liberal arts, that will in turn support a problem-based and interdisciplinary approach to ethical reasoning and civil engagement. The required completion of at least 2 intellectually robust, high-impact practices such as research, internships, education abroad, and service learning experiences is intended to add even deeper relevance to our students' general education. These exciting enhancements will also embrace our quality enhancement plan, the Global Citizens Project, and will open up, and this ought to be exciting to the faculty, will open up additional curricular space for departments to enhance their own major requirements through increased synergy with the core curriculum, all of which will be rolled out for incoming freshmen beginning the fall of 2018. In particular, it is my expectation that each major provides a distinctive career track with a required field-based component for those undergraduate students whose personal goals or academic record by the middle of their junior year suggests the unlikelihood of progressing to graduate, law, or medical school. It is clear that we have a busy year ahead, and I've asked our deans to personally take the lead in steering general education and major curriculum enhancements in their colleges in the months ahead. As we continue our commitment to performance improvement, USF student success message remains clear. And I quote, "We will strive to increase student retention, graduation, and competitive placement rates, along with salaries." Dr. Dosal's smiling at that. While decreasing student costs, time to degree, excess hours, and student debt. I sometimes don't brag enough about the significant achievements of our graduate students. While I've already touched on the national rankings of graduate programs at USF, you should know that today we are enrolling and graduating unprecedented numbers of master's and doctoral students in both highly competitive research programs and in professional programs that serve the needs of business, industry, and public sector agencies. In fact, you've probably noticed that graduation now takes a little longer than it used to, due to the increased number of PhD students being hooded. That's a good thing. Today, USF leads the state in the proportion of graduate degrees awarded in STEM and health, as the quality and impact of their work is reflected in higher levels of publication and the increased hits to our electronic thesis and dissertation website from around the world. I do like data, and this is pretty impressive. It was the first time I'd ever seen this map, and you may want to come up to the front at the end and figure out where these hits are coming from. As you recognize, our graduate students play a very, very important role in advancing USF's stature as a global research university, a reputation that helps distinguish us from most other universities, both public and private, across the state of Florida. While we continue our growth in both total and federal research expenditures year over year, we must be mindful of a further decline in effective F&A overhead rates at USF, and of talk of capping such rates by some in the nation's capital. While such an approach might even seem appealing to some faculty researchers, we cannot lose sight of the essential support that indirect costs provide for our research enterprise at USF and elsewhere, from keeping the lights on to providing state-of-the-art research labs and instrumentation to IRB and compliance services. Our USF Research Strategic Plan provides a roadmap for future investments and interdisciplinary collaboration through matching our faculty and programmatic strengths and societal needs in areas of research focus. Above all, at USF, we remain deeply committed to pursuing the truth through rigorous science, as together we strive to improve the health and well-being of the communities we serve. In the coming years, we plan a significant investment in growing our faculty cohort at USF Tampa, ever cognizant of the need to enhance our students' educational experience and growing our research, scholarly, and creative outputs. We aim to further reduce our student-to-faculty ratio from 22:1 last fall to 19:1 over the next 5 years. To achieve that goal, we estimate the need to hire 250 more faculty members, mostly in the College of Engineering, the Muma College of Business, and the School of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, where current ratios are far less than optimal, along with adding 50 new positions in the Morsani College of Medicine, all by 2022. This presents an incredibly exciting opportunity, and I want to report that we're off to a great start in building upon an already impressive community of world-class scientists, engineers, and scholars across campus.
I'm Dr. Charles Lockwood. I'm a maternal fetal medicine specialist. The problem that I solve is to make sure that babies are born healthy. We have known for some time now that the hormone progesterone is critical to the maintenance of pregnancy. So our lab is focused on the receptor for the progesterone hormone. And what we've discovered is that conditions in the mother that are associated with preterm birth lead to a reduction in the receptor for progesterone. And what we've been able to do is figure out the biochemical mechanisms that lead to that and potentially identify a couple of steps that might lead to treatments to prevent preterm birth.
I am Elizabeth Horridge Freeman, and I'm committed to eradicating modern slavery and human trafficking in the world. What I'm most excited about is the opportunity to really move into studying human trafficking more directly in Florida, because Florida has among the highest rates of human trafficking in the United States. And so for me, bringing these things together, making people aware that these questions of human trafficking and exploitation aren't these issues happening far away, but also have relevance here.
I'm Brad Gemmel, and I'm discovering the secrets of marine animal movement to design more efficient underwater vehicles. Learning about how animals move efficiently through water with the hopes of aiding what's called bio-inspired design, so learning from nature. Can we take design principles and understand what animals are doing really well, what makes them so efficient when they move through a fluid? Can we then apply that to future vehicle design, for example?
My name is Sam Mahopatra. My goal is to really apply the biomedical nanotechnologies for the diagnosis and treatment of human diseases. So being a geneticist, I believe that you can actually use genes to cure the disease. Our goal is really to take these technologies of identifying right drugs for the right patients and the technology of creating new drugs that will go after cancer stem cells so that one can cure cancer.
The profiles that you've just seen are a snapshot of an incredibly talented and deeply dedicated faculty at USF, including a member of the National Academy of Medicine, a core Fulbright US scholar, a Sloan Research Fellow, and a Fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. I remain convinced that the Tampa Bay community, viewed as a living laboratory, represents one of USF's greatest assets and most competitive advantages as we target and recruit more proven engineers, scientists, and scholars to our university. Through the work of the recently established Office of Corporate Partnerships, providing a long-awaited, streamlined, and welcoming portal or point of entry to USF for business and industry, we will expect to see even more collaboration between companies and USF faculty, expanded opportunities for meaningful internships for USF students, partnerships that provide shared strategic benefit, growth in the amount and share of industry-based research funding, and more companies moving to USF's Research Park. Of course, the USF Research Park has long been the home for startup companies in particular, yet more recent developments reveal new models for collaboration. SoftWorks in Ybor City is providing mutual benefit and a collision of ideas through solutions-oriented research for faculty and students across the state of Florida. While it's quite true that the majority of university talent is drawn to USF's own footprint at SoftWorks, from the College of Engineering and from the Muma College of Business, it is my expectation that future opportunities will demand much wider engagement from faculty and students in other colleges. A second and quite unique relationship is that which Reviture brings to our campus. Based in Reston, Virginia, with other university-based centers in New York City and Scottsdale, Arizona, Reviture provides qualified USF graduates, and especially those from the College of Arts and Sciences, an opportunity to enroll in a coding boot camp and, upon successful completion, assures employment with a Fortune 500 company. Unlike other coding boot camps that you may have read about recently, Reviture actually pays the students full tuition and living expenses in advance of placement in high-need, high-skilled, and high-paid jobs. The USF Revocure Partnership, something you'll be hearing much more about in the coming days, has realized early success, and the feedback from our graduates has been particularly gratifying. Meanwhile, our international academic and research collaborations continue to thrive, with more than 5,000 international students contributing to our campus community, and the number of USF students enrolled in education abroad closing in on 2,000. The maturing relationships we have with leading institutions in Africa, Asia, Europe, and Latin America in particular will only strengthen our students' experiences, our professors' scholarship, and our university's reputation. Beginning this fall, and with gratitude to Dr. Glover, USF will proudly join Oxford and Cambridge universities as the 3 choice destinations selected by the University of Ghana, itself one of the top universities in Africa, for a Carnegie Corporation-funded program entitled Building a New Generation of Academics in Africa. Framed around our earlier and incredibly successful GAP, or Global Academic Partnership Program, with the University of Ghana, this highly competitive program is intended to enhance research collaboration and will pair early career Ghanaian scholars with USF faculty members. I ask that you give careful consideration to contributing to this important partnership and welcome our visiting colleagues into your classrooms. My comments of August 2008 resonate as loud today as they did then, when I said, "Nothing will be more important than holding true to our core values: shared governance, academic freedom, promoting diversity and inclusion, integrity and responsibility, collegiality and civility." The frightening events witnessed at the White Supremacists Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, and on the University of Virginia campus just last weekend should remind us all that such blatant racism, intolerance, hate, and violence must never, ever find a place at USF. While I will staunchly defend the right to free speech and encourage a diversity of ideas and ideology, including the expression of viewpoints with which we may strongly disagree, each one of us has a greater responsibility to preserve a safe and secure community within which sometimes uncomfortable debate and discourse can flourish. We must, as a community, resist reacting to efforts aimed at inciting conflict and provocation through extremist voices and actions, and rather hold true to our commitment that all students, faculty, and staff members, regardless of age, disability, gender identity and expression, national origin, race and ethnicity, political and religious belief, sex, sexual orientation, marital status, socioeconomic level, and veteran status, and zip code deserve to feel safe, welcomed, and respected at USF. And we will continue to support the success of our DACA students, those who have requested deferred action for childhood arrivals, to the extent of the law. Ours is and will remain a caring and compassionate university community, and one that proudly values diversity and inclusion. As more than 40,000 students arrive on campus next week, and we can't wait. 40,000 students coming to us from all 67 counties across the state of Florida, 50 states and 145 different countries. I ask that each and every one of you take the time to reach out and welcome them to USF. And please encourage them to actively engage in our Week of Welcome activities, activities intended to more fully introduce them to their chosen academic home. As you can see, our university has set a clear and confident path forward, guided by our current strategic plan. Our 7 key priorities for the coming year are right here. Once again, I want to invite you as you leave the auditorium today to please take with you a copy of the USF Tampa by the Numbers brochure that highlights our current performance in the context of statewide performance-based funding and emerging preeminence criteria and AAU institutional benchmarks. It summarizes our goals for the coming year and begins to make the case for more AAU member institutions in our state. So in closing, I'd like to reiterate words I shared a decade ago. We have a bold agenda, and much rests on the shoulders of the faculty, as you are the very heart and soul of the university. Each day, you do an amazing job, and I couldn't be more proud of serving each member of our academic community, our talented students, our dedicated professional staff, and our world-class faculty. Finally, I can think of no better time to convey my firm belief that our achievements and our challenges can and only be addressed by working together as a community, a diverse and talented community where everyone is welcome. I thank you for all your contributions to the success of our students, for your creative, scholarly, and scientific contributions, and to growing the national and global preeminence of the University of South Florida. I look forward to joining you in an exciting year ahead. Thank you all.